I think there's going to be more and more of a space for short films on YouTube. So instead of watching a longer form film, like an hour episode, people might come onto YouTube and watch, 4 short films that are 15 minutes.
There's also this space of taking someone in and being like, look at these 10 minutes, we're going to make you feel as much as possible, as quick as possible. How did you feel?
Hey guys, I'm excited to say that today's episode, it's going to be interactive with Click. On Click, you can give real-time feedback, answer questions, browse through galleries, offer your own personal opinions, just as if you were there with us in this conversation. If you're interested, please click on the link down below. Noah and Yuli are a dynamic duo whose short films have reached 3 million viewers worldwide. They share meaningful, naturalistic stories with a magical undertone. What's crazy is that these guys are both 19. They're both very intelligent emotionally as well, and they join me today to discuss their work and a little bit about who they are and navigating film at a young age. Together, they founded Breathing Films, aspiring to continue creating films with real impact. Guys, super excited to be talking with you two today. You guys are like a dynamic duo, creating meaningful films that I've been very lucky to watch. Now, you guys met at 11 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
We did, yeah. We met at what we call secondary school, so I think that's middle school in America. And then, we met at 11 and started making films, and we've kind of been working together since then, haven't we? So,
yeah. But thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you guys. I mean, the two of you working together since 11, making super cool films before you're 20. Like, I'm 30, and I'm trying to get to the level that you guys are at, which is so impressive. And I can't wait to see what you guys accomplish, as you keep going down the road. Now, are you two in university right now?
So actually, it's a bit of an interesting one. So we did 2 years of film college, which I'm still figuring out.
High
school in America. Yeah. Where we studied film, we did a bunch of practical learning, and we learned a lot there. And then when we got to the end of that, we kind of felt like we just wanted to go and try to make some films outside of education and see where we ended up.
Because it's almost like
that way.
Because at that period, we were thinking, like, when you come out of university, you kind of have to face the sort of world of work. I don't know if you experienced that, as you told us already. It's kind of like you finish education and it's like, right, okay, now I've got to do this for real. So it was a little bit like we wanted to try and just jump straight into that instead of going to university. And I think sometimes if you know you want to do film, in a lot of ways, it can be just as useful just getting on and making your own stuff as it is studying. So we sort of chose that route.
It's an interesting route. Like, sometimes it feels really great and you get amazing stuff done, you meet amazing people, and it's a little bit, we found, at least for us, it's a little bit more freeing in terms of, like, we can choose when we want to attend events or make a new film. We've got a bit of a looser, more fluid, independent schedule.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it feels a little bit offsetting and weird that we're not in like a locked schedule, and sometimes we need to kind of sit down and figure out what we're going to do next, find a plan, decide what we're inspired about, and then work from there. But overall, it's been really good.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. I mean, I spent 4 years, and a lot of my time in college, like, it wasn't actually applicable. It was very theoretical. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it makes diving into like the real world a lot more challenging because you're kind of building the airplane as you go. So you guys taking this different approach and jumping in earlier on, I think the real world it's the best teacher.
Yeah, for sure. There was actually a period I remember where we finished college and we were like, okay, now we're out, and we tried to almost make our own sort of curriculum.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
We called it like our self university, like trying to decide like if we were going to choose fantastical teachers that would, like, we'd have something that would teach us a skill,
Yeah.
What would that be? And then we were like thinking,
Like spend a month making a spec commercial, and then next month we'd, I don't know, try and do something that focuses on editing and try and teach ourselves almost like you would in university, but just outside of university.
yeah, it's like understanding, like we looked, I think I remember really early on, I know what you're talking about, is like, we looked and we were like, okay, we feel like we were weak in lighting, and we felt like we were weaker in doing like fast cuts, edits in short films, or grabbing people's attention. So we wrote some projects that like specifically focused on those, and then tried to make it so, like, for example, on our Breathing Film site on YouTube, the short film titled Week One was an example of that, I think. It's like a super short film, but just fully focusing on doing super fast cuts and seeing how that goes.
Yeah, it's like you're learning based off of the problems and where you guys fall short. And you guys doing this with projects too, like rather than learning about it in the classroom and then not actually applying it. You're like, oh, my lighting's not too good. Let's create a project that exclusively focuses on writing, or with captivating your audience, which is essential today now in film. You guys are creating projects to do so as well. I noticed one thing that I really liked that you two did. After watching Timepiece, you guys actually made another YouTube video about how you created Timepiece, which was such a cool concept.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite fun. Yeah, that was a sort of an experiment. That was when we were first sort of figuring out what we wanted to do with the YouTube channel, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like deciding, because yeah, with a YouTube channel, it's kind of, at least what we figured out is it's kind of a journey of discovering your identity, because it's obviously you have people that follow you, and it's kind of this path of choosing, oh, what do people that enjoy our content also like to see, and what do we enjoy to make, and then kind of finding a connection between those and something that we can make together.
Yeah. Now, you guys are talking about creating your own curriculum. How important is it that you guys have each other by your side to hold both of you accountable to each project? Because if I was to do it on my own, there's no way I could stick to like a solo curriculum.
Oh yeah, it's great. I think that's one of the things that I think is most valuable about our relationship, is the fact that we kind of have each other to motivate each other. So like when we're working on a project, it's different to when you do something yourself. It's sort of like, because we're both doing it, we always have each other to rely on. So say I'm like not as inspired, I can lean on Yuli, and then he'll come back with something, and then
Yeah, and as a work relationship, there's also, like, we've been friends for ages. There's also a little bit of a sense of being competitive, like a friendly competitive nature to it, of like, oh look, I just discovered that Noah did some really good work on this project and I really admire what he did. Then I go home and I'm like, oh, maybe I should get it together and do some work as well. It keeps us pushing. But yeah, I think it's important to have something to bounce off of with that. It helps us for sure.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, especially in filmmaking, it's such a collaborative project, right? People having different ideas, some coming together, some falling out, but the two kind of like hybridizing to create one overall vision. I think the collaboration part is quite essential.
I think it's the most collaborative art form, isn't it? Film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's. I'm trying to think if there's anything more collaborative, but nothing comes to mind.
Yeah.
It does just drag in people from everywhere to kind of work together on one goal. But that's, I think, one of the reasons that we love it so much, is in YouTube, but just in short films as well, and festivals, is that a massive part of it is being social and meeting people from like all walks of life that are all inspired to kind of chase the same thing. So you meet great people. But yeah.
I mean, it's why I love doing the podcast. Like, I get to meet filmmakers, and that in turn inspires me. Like the competitiveness that you guys have, watching people like you put out really great work on my end.
So you watch a lot of short. So you go through a lot of short films on YouTube and Vimeo, right?
I do.
To find people, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I feel like YouTube and Vimeo are like, especially YouTube, is becoming kind of like a really good space for that sort of short form narrative stuff now. Like it feels like a really growing space.
Oh yeah, I mean, the views on YouTube compared to Vimeo, it's night and day. Do you
Right.
guys is that why you guys choose to post more on YouTube than anywhere else?
I think I don't know what originally got us on YouTube. I think why I would almost, if like now from what I know, the reason why I like to stay is, at least from my experience, the analytical side of YouTube is really useful. Like there's a lot of data that you can go into and learn about. Noah's in a course now learning more about YouTube as well. That's been really informing us. But just the fact that you can post something that's purely creative, that you don't really know how it's going to perform, and then once it performs or once something happens to it, whether it's successful or not, in terms of analytical value, you can look back at it and decide how it went. And
You can kind of
learn
see
from it.
why.
Yeah.
It's amazing where you can. It's almost like you can be creative and then afterwards see why certain things worked and why certain things didn't, and almost you've got that direct view of being able to see what your audience likes as well, which is really interesting. I think it's quite unique.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Also, I'm not sure if YouTube, if Vimeo has a comment section, but that's also another place that we really like looking through because you can kind of get a little bit of a feed of how your audience feels about what they're watching.
Yeah, the Vimeo it does have a comment section, but I don't think it's as interactive as the YouTube one, and it feels like there's more of a loyal community on YouTube
Okay.
because people are subscribing with you, they're interacting with what you've made, and I feel like there's more freedom to show the behind the scenes and more of your personality on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how it kind of blows me away how analytical you two are, especially when it comes to the YouTube algorithm and creating content accordingly. Now, how much do you keep that in mind when you guys are creating short films versus sticking true to what you guys want to create?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is really interesting actually because
Totally.
so quite recently with 1 Second Late, which was our most recent film, that was a film where while writing, I was considering what did people who watched Timepiece like about Timepiece and trying to catch a sense of that feeling in 1 Second Late. It was the first time that we ever did that, where we tried to make a film sort of considering what would perform well and what our audience would actually like. And yeah, that was quite unique. It was the first time I think we'd ever done that.
Yeah, it's like kind of a little bit of a shot in the dark of like an experiment of, yeah, like Noah said, what would happen if we specifically shape a short film targeted at
YouTube.
the people and YouTube and
Yeah.
people that like watching our content. And then, to be honest, with the rest of the films, mostly it's been kind of a balance of deciding what we definitely want to keep and what we really enjoy making and the characters that we believe in and the settings that we like, and then kind of combining that with the aesthetic of what our channel already was and what we want to explore next, in a way, like merging the unknown of things that we haven't done with the stuff that we know works, and then putting it out there. And as long as we can make an audience member feel anything, then I think we agree that we've succeeded.
Yeah, and I think that there is kind of. Sorry, do you even say something or?
Oh no, please continue.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's kind of there's a bit of a balance sometimes as a creative between making what you really really love and what you believe in versus considering what the audience is going to really like. And there's a balance between that. It's kind of like you make the thing that you think is going to be really really good and you like, but then you also have to consider what's going to work on YouTube and what the audience is going to like. So that's still a balance that I think we're still learning and is kind of a process.
Yeah.
How how do you guys how have you guys come to that mindset? Because you're early on. I mean, in a sense, early on, right? You two have been doing this since 11, but being open to creating work that makes your audience happy while still is you.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in some ways, it's like if we want to make the YouTube channel sustainable, we have to consider the audience. I think, especially as artists, I think if you don't consider your audience and who you're making it for, I feel like, yeah, I don't know, you're missing something there.
Yeah, it's there's definitely like a learning process balance it, because in some way, if you look at it on the dark side of it or the more intimidating side, to some extent you're like feeding the beast. Like the audience is at the end of the day the ultimate judge of a piece of content or a short film. If they don't like it, then nobody really will see it. And then on the other extent, you need to input some of your own creative decisions and not only go to that. Otherwise, I think we lose the inspiration and the voice to like put out there. But yeah, I think it's a constant balance and like trying to find something that works for us.
Yeah. Now that makes me curious. Who is your audience? Who are the people who are watching your short films, and who are the people that you're making feel something?
Well, it's interesting. So, I mean, you can look at it in the sense of like geographically and sort of age demographics, who they are. Like we've got quite a lot of people in the US and also quite a lot of people in India as well. So you can kind of look at the audience in that sense, and then also there's the sense of like who are they in terms of what kind of stories do they enjoy seeing. And I think we're discovering the kind of short film style and aesthetic that our audience seems to enjoy, which is kind of like I get you'll see it if you watch Timepiece and 1 Second Late. It's sort of like things that are quite thoughtful, hopefully emotion evoking, cinematic, that kind of thing. I think are the kind of stories that resonate.
Yeah, I agree. I think we did an exercise a couple of months ago of kind of trying to imagine like if we were going to draw a person on a page and write around them everything that they are as a person, or what they enjoy and the kind of personality that they are, then who would that be? And we kind of experimented with what we felt our audience would be as like an average.
Yeah, so almost like describing a typical audience member and giving them a name and like a location and it was quite cool because then when you go to write the next film, it's like, right, I'm thinking of Varun from India who lives in this city and does this as his job, and that's who our audience is.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool that you guys are keeping in mind who your audience is and tailoring your short films according to them. Because at the end of the day, what I love about film is you capture a feeling. You try and bring a feeling to your audience. And it's so hard to quantify that. It's so hard to put that into numbers. It's really about putting a version of yourself and your thoughts out there for people to resonate with. And I think that's such a easily spoken thing to do, but very hard to create at the same time. I know you two are very meticulous in your planning, watching the behind the scenes of Timepiece, the amount of thought that you two put into creating something. Like every single frame, every single bit, there's thought put into it. And what I want to know here is, how do you guys go about capturing emotion? Like that's the goal. How do you guys do that?
Well, to be honest, we can both speak on this, but I think it's just when you're coming up with ideas, what makes you feel something? Like if something makes you laugh, or if something makes us both go, oh, that's a nice emotional beat, then hopefully that will make others feel like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's like, I think to an extent it is, like Noah said, like a personal thing of like, we've got a certain kind of comedy that really gets us or really makes us laugh, or we have a certain theme in like a fantasy or some kind of more emotional piece like Timepiece that really just clicks and makes us think, oh, if we were in that situation, this would feel crazy or it would feel incredible. And if we feel like that, then I think we kind of want to chase that and see where it goes if we turned it into a film.
Mm. But it's interesting. I feel like it's probably different with everyone. Like, can you think of any? Have you asked this question to other guests? Because I'd be curious to hear about, like, what other filmmakers say in response to that.
Yeah.
They literally say the same thing that you guys are saying.
Really?
If it makes them feel something, there's some sort of truth to that. But here's the second part, though, right? In film, as it becomes more collaborative, there's a lot of other people in the puzzle, a lot more opinions, right? Especially when it comes down to money. So then the hard part is, how do I keep my vision going forward while still making sure that the players involved, that they're satisfied? And I mean, in a sense, you guys are doing this with your YouTube audience, right? Like you're following that feeling, you're trying to put that into film, while keeping in mind, that guy from India at his day job at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, like, when you're also when you're working with collaborators, like, who are like part of the project. So yeah, like when you're for example working with an actor or an actress, they're going to come in with their own creative input, and it's kind of, I guess, all of filmmaking is about getting the best out of all of the creative collaborators and sort of trying to direct them towards making the same film as good as possible.
Yeah, to some extent it is like a battle of understanding, or a battle of like seeing on the same level. But then in a way we also experiment, I think, like if we have a film that we're not completely set on how a character should behave, for example, or something, then when we bring in the actor, we'll see that, oh, we really like the way that this person was acting, and we're like, oh, we bet they have some ideas of how this conversation should go and stuff. And a lot of the times that improves the film massively, and they get to be a bigger part of that, which is great.
I can give us a real example of that. So we recently shot a new film that we're editing currently that's going to come out on the channel, and it's actually a comedy. So it's our first time doing something that's explicitly a comedy. And we worked with a friend of ours who we met a while ago in Italy on a residential called Edie.
Shout out to Edie.
Shout out to Edie.
Shout out Edie.
And she brought loads to the character. Like we had a character in our minds, but then when we started working with her, it was like she'd have an idea, and then we'd be like, oh right, that's a really interesting point of view on the character. And it's almost like, the actor is the one who knows their character the best, right? So as directors, you've got to listen to the actor and hear what they want to say, because a lot of the time their instincts are right.
Yeah, and sometimes their instincts are like really like instinctive things that we would like almost brush over in a way, or like because they're so nuanced, it would be like we have these bigger ideas, or no, we'll have these bigger ideas. And then the actor will just say something that's like, oh yeah, of course, that's obvious, but we didn't think about that until you said it, and now we should definitely include it. So it's, I think it's like a balance of finding enough input from the collaborators in general, but then also explaining the idea so they can have their own thoughts on it.
I never considered the amount of creative input that actors can have, and I'm kind of thinking, or like digesting this. Like, actors know their character the most, but you guys are also creating those characters at the same time. So how does that work?
Well, I think it's almost a conversation. Like, good actors, they'll come as like a blank slate, and they'll really listen, and they'll read the script, and they'll hear what you're trying to say and embody that. But then once they start embodying that, and then you get them to where you're imagining the character is, a lot of the time they'll come back with things that are here and are slightly further into the character that you might not have been able to think of, because you're thinking about angles and like lighting and all the other things, whereas they're just thinking about the character. So I think of it as almost more of a conversation, I think, working with actors.
Yeah. And from an actor's perspective, that's their one job, to fully commit to the character, and then they in turn they're offering their personalities, their identity into the role, and their vision at the same time.
How
So
does it work differently with documentary? Like when like for example, when you've got a subject in a documentary, how much do you sort of work with them in terms of trying to, find their character in the film?
yeah, the character comes out through the interviews, and
Hmm.
it's a matter of not being open to not sticking to the questions on the interview screen, like when you're directing. It's a
Right.
matter of rolling with them, like bringing out the best in them that suits the narrative, and it's the openness to that. Literally what you guys are doing, like being open with letting actors give their input at the same time.
Yeah, because I can imagine if you sort of try and force the character to be exactly how you were imagining them to be, it wouldn't go well.
Yeah, you
Yeah, you
lose authenticity, I guess.
Yeah, you just can't. It takes away from the momentum. I mean, it's like if you can capture that feeling of connection between you and the person you're interviewing versus making it forced and just sticking to the script, like that's what people feel at the end of the day, right? In documentary film, you're trying to capture sound bites. And what makes for the best sound bites often is like the emotion that goes behind the words. I mean, I think about this in music, right? In music, like think like every single love song, it's basically the same thing, at least in my head. But to me, what makes a love song unique, it's not what they say, it's the way they say it, and it's the same thing in film.
Yeah, I guess
That's really
that's
well said.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, music, there is the crossovers between music and films, or especially short films, is really interesting. I think there's a lot of like common grounds over what kind of goes into the processes. I'm not sure. We both don't make music to any major extent, but I assume that, like with a film, for example, and similar in science and a bunch of other categories, there's like this sense of you have an idea or you have something you want to speak on, and then as soon as you have that, it's kind of a battle or a race to see what's the best version of that you can express to other people in a meaningful way and to get them to understand what you're talking about. So I think there's something to be
I'm
said.
quite
Yeah.
inspired by musical artists. Like, where like there's an artist we both like called DC3,
Yeah.
who's like a rapper from the UK. He's quite young. He's sort
Yeah.
of similar age to us. And like whenever I listen to his stuff, I'm always so inspired because I'm just like, oh man, he's the same age. He's so young. He's making these amazing things, and it's like, oh, we need to keep making cool stuff. Like,
Yeah, it's hearing creatives' voices and new ways of delivering stuff. It's epic.
Do you guys know Bugsy Malone?
Bugsy Malone. I recognise the name. Bugsy Malone. Remind me who he is.
Yeah, he's a British rapper from Manchester.
Oh, yes.
think you've
Yeah,
told me
no,
about
I know Bugsy Malone. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Do you like
I love his freestyles. He goes on this the show called Fire in the Booth on
Yeah,
Oh,
YouTube.
we know Fire in the Booth. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I mean, like Charlie Sloth the entire time is gassing him up like more than he would anyone else.
Yeah.
I love that. You were
Amazing.
showing me that. Is that the guy who like has loads of sounds and like
Yep,
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Charlie Sloth, right?
that's right.
Yeah, he has cool stuff. He does. He brings on some cool people. I think he also brought on DC3
DC,
recently.
I gotta check out this guy.
Yeah, definitely.
do you
check
like
him
do you
out.
like sort of UK rap, grime and stuff?
I do. Again, it's like it's not the lyrics. It's just the way it makes me feel. Like
Yeah.
in rap, especially. I mean, rap is my favorite genre of music. I would consider like I would I'd consider 10% of it is what I love. The other 90% I just can't I can't stand. But
Yeah.
it's the 10% that makes rap for me. Like that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like if you can
Yeah.
combine meaning, flow, emotion, and pack it all into a really good beat,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that gets me going more.
Yeah.
Nothing beats it.
I agree. We both love rap as well.
Yeah, and also the fact that like with some songs, it's so lyrically or like information dense. You can get so much across, or the artist gets so much across in like 2 minutes. It's great.
Yeah, and I think the key to that is giving your attention. That's like your most valuable asset. That's what the way I see. Like, can you
Mm,
focus on what they're saying? Can you focus on what they're trying to put across? And I think
mm,
that translates over into film. Like, you guys, um, you guys are creating short films, right? But today's audience, they're more fast paced, right? With
yeah.
shorts and everything else. Like, it's a lot harder to focus. And by focus, that's when you find the meaning. Like, you can't watch your films. I'm talking about you, Noah and Yuli, like, and be on your phone at the same time. You have to be fully there. You have to be present, and it has to be an immersive experience.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a couple interesting things on this. Like, so I I know a writer who's a friend of mine, and she was telling me that now on TV shows they write it so that you can be on your phone and still understand the plot. So
Oh,
like,
this. I
yeah,
remember Noah was telling me this.
yeah. So like the scripts are now starting to be written where an audience can not actually be looking at the TV episode and still get the plot.
Yeah, wasn't it something like from memory, I think you and someone else was telling me about this, but it's like they'll include a plot point in different ways more than once, so that let's say I'm on my phone and the character
Yeah.
says, "Oh, we need to go to this place," and I miss it, then 10 minutes later I can catch it again when I'm off my social media.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but
Yeah.
it's evolving, so I guess it
Yeah.
evolves with it.
But and on that, there's another thing that I think, at least for us, is a positive. So because everything's getting shorter, right? And I don't know if you've heard of micro dramas
Micro?
and that whole.
No, I have not.
Wow. Okay. So micro dramas are like this massive thing. So it's basically it's portrait dramas where episodes are about 30 seconds long, and there might be like 100+ episodes. And it's got massive in China, and it's starting to get big in the US. And the money in it is insane. Like the money that's going into it's crazy. But yeah, they're like these really not very good, super short, scrollable dramas, and it's like the model is you pay to keep watching episodes. But what I think is because people are moving to that, I think there's going to be more and more of a space for short films on YouTube. So instead of watching a longer form film, like an hour episode, people might come onto YouTube and watch, I don't know, 4 short films that are 15 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's also almost like a lifestyle-based thing. I think people appreciate stuff that can be easily like entertaining and then turned off instantly. Like sometimes people don't have time to watch a 2-hour film, even though they're growing far past that these days to 3-4 hours. So yeah, I think there's a space for stuff that's like short and gets a message across like instantly, like I don't know, burst of fire. Just
Yeah.
here's a message.
I mean, I think about this myself. Like, if I'm having lunch, I want to watch like a 15-20 minute video, catch
Yeah.
the beginning and then before I move on with my day. And then there's the other part of me that's uh, I don't want to say against, but very hesitant towards this new progression of storytelling because in my mind, it's like it's taking the meaning out for entertainment. And
Mm.
yes, we need to be entertained, but just as much, if not more than being entertained, we need to feel connected. And that's what meaningful films do. Now, I could be very pessimistic about this whole ordeal because, there's plenty of things to be pessimistic about, but I try and remain open. And what you guys said about, these short films still being able to drive that, it's really inspiring to see.
Yeah, and I also think in some ways, you can still get meaning across in the shorter form. It's just you have to be more concise in a way,
Yeah.
which kind of forces you, like, you have to make decisions. Like sometimes in longer films, there's a period where not much is happening, but because you're in the cinema, that's fine. Like the director can just leave a big space of not much going on. But in short films, you're forced to just compress it and lose all of those gaps, which in some
Yeah.
ways is a good thing, right?
It's definitely to be said that it's a completely different art medium, or at least in our opinion, we agree that it's like you have feature films and they're set to do a very specific thing, and we love them and admire them, and there's amazing films out there, and we aspire to them. But there's also this space of taking someone in and being like, look at these 10 minutes, we're going to make you feel as much as possible, as quick as possible. How did you feel? And that's its own art form, and we love doing that as well.
Yeah. And I guess my opinion is more towards those like short mini dramas that you guys were talking to earlier. I think another part of the feeling aspect, though, it comes from getting to know the character. Like, you know, in 1 second late, like I felt like I knew the guy rushing to the train station, like the girl sitting on the train station. Like, even though it was like a shorter introduction to the character, like I still feel like I got a sense of who they were. Like the guy, you know, like not like being a little bit shy to talk to the girl, and then finally mustering up the courage to ask for a drink later. Like that showed a lot about his personality and who he was. And then the girl, like her being open and asking him questions, open demeanor at the same time. Like I got to know them, so I felt like connected to the characters. Same, like that's what I feel about the longer feature films, or like the medium you guys are doing. I think that connectedness, that's what brings out the most that's what brings out the most emotion and the biggest takeaway, because you could watch like a 1 minute short, but you're going to forget about it like five scrolls later. You know, I watched your short films couple like a week ago, and I still remember.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Can I ask? So I heard something. I'm curious to hear what you both think of this.
Yeah.
So I heard that piece of advice that short films are often about an event, right? They're about something that happens, whereas feature films are often about character. And it's kind of so yeah. In feature films, the story comes from character, whereas in short films, the story is about an event. And I thought that's quite interesting, like an interesting way of looking at it. I don't know if I agree with it fully, but yeah.
Yeah, there's something interesting in it that you see a feature film, and a lot of the times, I think in that sense, that theory does have some correct elements to it, of like, you'll watch a feature film and the thing that drives it forwards a lot of the time is the character. Like, the character will either want something desperately, or there'll be some kind of relationship or some kind of motive, but internally that pushes it forwards, where a short film a lot of the times in the first 10 seconds something that pushes the rest of it. But on other senses it's incorrect in some form, so it's like figuring out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a thinking topic.
I think it's, and I'm trying to think about this from the bigger picture, because Yuli, I agree with you. It is a case by case basis, but in short films, it feels like the main thing you have to do is show the conflict early on, right? And the best way to introduce conflict is some sort of event that's happening, right? It allows for the full like 10, 20 minutes to be taken by that conflict. Like, you're just jumping into the peak of the story. So an event can definitely make that a lot easier. But also, it's like I've seen some short films where it's just not the case. They're just showing, like, I watched this one short film. I just can't remember the name of it, but I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's about like these two neighbors in New York. They live in opposite apartments and they have views towards each other's windows. You've seen this, right?
Yeah.
It
A
is.
while ago.
This one was brilliant. And
Yeah.
on one end, like, you see this couple, they're young, they're partying, like they're having a good time, and then on the other side, you see this like family with kids, kind of worn down or like fully immersed in this family life. And the family, they're looking at this young couple, like the husband and wife, they're looking at them and they're envious, you know. And then you come to find out at the end of the film, like, that the young couple was looking across at them, and they wanted what they had. And there weren't any like major events to show that. I just think it's like it really depends.
You're right. That's almost more about character, isn't it? It's like about the story result comes from the characters as opposed to coming from an event.
But in turn, that's interesting actually, that structure. So you said that this kind of thing that's revealed is revealed at the end, that they were looking both
At the
ways.
end.
Yeah. So I think, to another speaking point, it's almost like maybe the reason why a lot of, or like the majority of short films feel like they're action led or action based is because it's really, really hard in the start of a short film to establish a character so the audience knows them well enough to justify any major action. Where in a feature film you have 20, 30 minutes to establish that before something happens. But I guess then in the short film you can do it reversed, which is a really cool structure. Reveal something character based at the end.
Yeah, and I guess to add to that, Yuli, like the event, it also shows the most about the character, because our character, like ourselves, who we truly are, it's shown when we're tested the most. Like in Madros, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name of the short film right, but it's like, by the way, you guys didn't like show like. I saw, this one kid, he's going off to like some islands. The other kid, like you could tell he has a very difficult home life. You get that. And then them swimming together, them bonding. And then the guy going off on his own, like that was who his character was. So in a sense, like the events, they show the character. Maybe the introduction isn't as necessary for a short film. How well you might show the event. And then and then this made me think too, like, in the short film with the two opposing neighbors, I think what it spoke out to us as humans, where we constantly compare ourselves, like something that's very like deep inside of us is constant comparison. So I think that's what like brought people into the film. That was the hook, like this survival mechanism we have, good or bad, like that, like everyone was able to relate to that.
Yeah, yeah. It's always like if you can find a way of creating a story where your character is something that's universally felt by people, then you're always going to have success with that. Do you have a favorite short film, or is that a really hard question to ask? Because I feel like you're the guy to ask. You've seen so many.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Long
Not
ago, I
explored.
gave up playing favorites. I think that the short film I was talking about is my favorite right now.
Mm.
And
But it changes,
honestly,
right?
the short films that stuck out to me the most were the ones that made me feel. There's this one called Alien, and it's directed by this guy called Sam Cutler-Cruz. It's about this couple trying to. So the mother, she's American, or the wife is American, and then her husband, he's like an illegal immigrant in the U.S. And it's about the story of them at the immigration center trying to get their paperwork, and then they are conflicted with, and then ICE gets into the mix.
Oh, wow.
And
Sounds
like
like an interesting concept, yeah.
it was it showed how quickly our connectedness could be separated, and yeah, that just stuck with me.
And was that on YouTube?
On YouTube, yep, Sam Cutler-Cruz, Alien.
Great.
Well,
Should I check
A
that out?
and then Lien on this side, but he makes some pretty good short films
Do you
too.
go to many film? Have you been to film festivals and watched short films at festivals?
Yeah, so no, I am like very new into film, like maybe 6 months actually into like producing and directing, and I have not yet gotten the opportunity to go to any film festivals, but I'm
Okay.
hoping that's going to change
Are there
because
ones local to you?
what's that?
Are there film festivals local to where you are?
Yes, there's one in Nantucket. It's like an island right off of Boston. That's a very big film festival. So I do want to go there, but I really don't mind traveling to go to other film festivals. I mean, today I
Film
leave. I'm going to like the Balkans for 2 weeks, and
Oh
hopefully
wow.
there'll be like a film festival there for me to catch.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, film festivals are an interesting space. Like we've been lucky enough to go to quite a few now, and they always surprise us with like the level of films or the variance in films that get displayed. Because you'd think a lot of them would be similar to what you see on YouTube and stuff, but then you go And there's a
Yeah.
lot of the percentage of films that are really different, or they speak on things that you're not used to seeing, and it's like very eye-opening.
It's a different
refreshing.
kind of space, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you get different kind of films to YouTube. They're a lot more often slower paced, and there's often more space given to just the artisticness of filmmaking. One film festival that was really good was Nifty. We went to Nifty, and that's in Seattle.
Yeah.
That was amazing, and that was our first time in the US. So we went to the US for the first time for about, was it 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Something?
Yeah, just about.
When was this?
Recently.
This was just over a month ago, I want to say.
Oh,
Maybe a
okay.
little more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great, and like the level of films there, that was the main thing that stood out to us. Like the level of films there was through the roof. Everything looked beautiful. All of the stories were amazing. But then beyond that, the people that you meet there are like, because you have the film,
Yeah.
it's a special space actually, festival, because it's like you go into a dark room, you see like 5 films, but then the real variance is you step out and the people that just put like their personality or their soul on display to you in the film are standing right there. You can befriend them and talk to
Chat to
them and
them,
try and
yeah.
understand how they brought that to life, which is a really rare thing, I think, in the world, to see something and then being able to instantly talk to that person.
Now, do their personalities match what you saw in the film? Like when you're watching the film, you're kind of getting a sense of who they are, but then when you meet them in person,
Yeah, it's like sometimes it's like exactly like you see the person, you can even tell across the room who made what film without speaking to them sometimes. And then sometimes it's completely the opposite. There'll be like a really happy film that's like about like really bold topics, and the person that made it is like super quiet.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it's the opposite of what we are as a person that some people make films about.
thank you for watching today's episode. Just wanted to remind you guys that today's episode is also interactive with Click, where you can give real-time feedback and be part of today's conversation. If you're interested, click on that link down below.